Hello guys and welcome to another experience video. For today I decided to prepare an area which holds a lot of good memories for me because it is an area that I used to grind a lot when I started playing the game. So basically here at Sausans is where I started to join teams and where I actually learned what rotations are, because until Sausans there were no other areas where I was actually supposed to do a rotation. So I decided that since I didn't grind here at Sausans in a long time, I wanted to see how the experience for this area compares to the other Valencia areas that I'm grinding at the moment. Even though right now I have about 223 attack power, still I wanted to test this area because, for example, with the same attack power I can one-shot the monsters at Bashim's area. So here at Sausans again with this same attack power I can one-shot every monster. So in terms of attack power it shouldn't be that much of a difference. But I wanted to see how much experience I can get here if I grind as fast as possible like in all of my other tests, and compare the result with the other Valencia places to see if Sausans actually does have a lot of experience, or if you are actually supposed to move out once you have enough attack power to actually handle Valencia. Before I get into the actual rotations, I want to mention a few things. First off, since I have this much attack power, I want to make it clear that for each of the rotations that I tested, I can basically one-shot every monster, and as a result of that, when I'm going back to the beginning of the rotations, monsters are usually not all respawned. So in terms of actual clearing speed, the experience that I'm going to show should actually be the maximum potential of experience for each area, because since there are no other groups that I could use on these rotations, and when I'm going back to the beginning they are not fully respawned yet on most cases, then that means there should be no other way to get more experience out of that spot. With that out of the way, the other things that I want to mention are just the usual stuff. Like for example, I'm grinding as fast as possible and I'm not looting anything from the ground manually. So the only loot that I'm getting is for my pets. And the experience that I'm going to show is reduced back to 100%, because usually I have about 126% experience, but in this case I had at one of the rotations 136 because I had a value pack. But in any case I'm going to reduce that experience back to 100%, just like in my previous experience videos, so you could compare the final result with those older videos. Now if there are other details that I forgot to mention, then they will be displayed on the screen, so let's just get started with the first rotation. For the first rotation, when I first came here, I decided to test the B spot, because this is the rotation that I used to do a lot when I was soloing here at lower levels, when I first started Black Desert in my first months, because this spot used to have the best experience as far as I knew, and it was not taken as often as it was the main rotation, the A spot or just the main rotation. So I tested this one first, and just like in my previous video I decided to test this rotation twice, and if I make an average out of those numbers and I reduce the experience back to 100% like it is shown on the screen, then I got about 0.0091% experience per minute at level 59. So keep in mind that for all of these tests I am a level 59 player, and these mobs are not supposed to be killed by someone that is level 59. Another thing that I should probably mention is that the reason why you see that I grinded 25 minutes in the first session and 15 minutes in the second session is because usually after 20 to 25 minutes I'm getting overweight from the drops. So if you want to grind here, just keep in mind that you're going to have to go to your horse to drop your loot about twice or 3 times per hour, depending on how much weight limit you have. So even though in these tests I'm actually testing the experience per hour as if you would grind 1 hour straight, just keep in mind that you're still going to have to drop your items on your horse. For anyone who is interested in the screenshots that I took at the starting point and ending point of these two sessions that I tested, then you can check these on the screen if you want to look for the experience difference or the buffs that I had. And in terms of actual time, I was using my own stopwatch, but you can still look at the whisper chat if you want to see an approximate time. Still, I was grinding 25 and 15 minutes exactly in these two sessions. So let's move on to the second rotation. This spot, I believe it used to be called the C spot, and it is that rotation that no one wanted to do because they believed it had not enough monsters and of course less experience. So everyone wanted to do the B spot or join a team for the main spot. And testing this rotation, it turns out that they were right, and this rotation actually does have the least amount of experience. To make this rotation doable, I actually had to extend it, including some mobs after the place where you are supposed to go down on the second half, and even go as far as to include one of the groups on the wall, just because I didn't have enough groups for them to respawn in time after I was completing the rotation once. And still, after including all of these groups, the mobs were barely respawning in time. So again, the experience should be the maximum potential for this spot. And here again I grinded twice, and if I make an average out of that one, the experience is about 0.0079% experience per minute, if it is reduced back to 100% at level 59. One thing that I forgot to note before is that here at Sausans there are a lot of tents that can spawn more monsters, and I was trying to the best of my abilities to use aggro skills to let those tents spawn the mobs before killing them. So I was actually trying to kill as many monsters as possible, and yet this spot turned out to have less experience compared to the B spot. Again, if anyone is interested in checking the screenshots for experience or buffs, then these are the screenshots for the C rotation. I don't think there is anything else I should be covering for this rotation, so let's move on to the last rotation. This one is the main spot, or the A spot, however you want to call it, and this one was actually a little bit harder to find empty to test it, because this spot is always taken by teams and you're not really supposed to grind this one solo, unless you have really good gear and you can maintain it, because there will be other people who will come here to either steal mobs or just try to get the rotation for themselves, because after all it is the best rotation at Sausans. Here on this rotation I had to test it 3 times just because I was interrupted by other people, so I'm going to include all of these 3 buffs when I make the average. And again, for this spot, if I reduce the experience back to 100%, the average experience you could make per minute is about 0.010% experience per minute. So it is by far the best experience you can get at Sausans, but then again it is the most contested spot around here, so if you can get this spot empty for yourself, then you're in luck, but if you don't get it empty, then you're going to have to either steal it from someone else or just grind here for small amounts of time before someone else actually comes here to take it. So probably the best way to go is to solo the B spot if you actually want to come here to grind alone. Usually when people come here to grind the main spot, they either duo with someone else or join a full party of 5 people, but in my case, even though I was alone, I still managed to kill all of the groups and come back to the beginning of the rotation, and the first group was not fully respawned yet on most cases. Sometimes they were all respawned, but most of the time they were not all respawned, and in fact I actually had to extend this rotation to make it doable, because again I could kill them too fast, and I included some of the groups on the outside of the rotation, basically on the way to Kusha. I'm not exactly sure, but you can see it on the screen. I included some groups extra just to make the rotation a little bit bigger. With this all being said, for this video I only tested these 3 rotations, even though I know recently there was added another spot around the beach side, but I personally don't know what that rotation is, because I never did it when I was at the correct level, so I never learned the rotation, and I actually poked around that area once when I wanted to test it for this video, and I didn't really find enough monsters to make it worth it to make an entire entire rotation there, because if I was to make a rotation, the experience would have been worse compared to the C spot. So now that I am done, to give you guys the conclusion, on the left side of the screen I will have displayed again the experience per minute for each of these spots, and on the right side will be displayed the experience per hour, converted from that to experience per minute. So you can use the experience on the right side of the screen if you want to know the experience per hour for each of these spots. Now, since most of my previous experience videos were done at level 58, now I'm going to take those values and convert them back as if I was a level 58 player, because the experience is about twice the experience. So if I multiply it by 2, then that's the experience you should get at level 58, and you can use that value to compare it to my previous experience videos, also made from the perspective of my wizard, some of them at level 59 and some of them at level 58. My conclusion would be that Sausans is indeed a pretty decent spot to grind, but if you have the attack power to handle Valencia, you should move there as fast as possible, because first off it is less contested, and secondly on some areas you can get even more experience, because I'm going to have displayed on the left side of the screen the result of the rotations for this video, and on the right side I will have displayed some other areas that I tested, like for example bandits, pirates and cadres, where you can get more experience if you actually can handle the areas. And by that I mean to have enough attack power to grind very efficiently, because on those areas I was also killing the monsters as fast as possible, and in some cases with about 200 attack power or more. My point is that the experience here at Sausans is pretty good, but there are other places that can offer you even more experience and are actually less contested, like for example as I said bandits or cadres or pirates. And to be honest, pirates are not really that much harder compared to Sausans, and they offer a lot more experience, and in some cases can offer you even more money because you don't have to turn in that many items. Now at this point I suppose I am done with the video, and I would like to ask you guys in the comments if you actually know the beachside rotation and you did it previously. Do you think it is actually better than the C spot or even than the B rotation? Because I didn't really test it myself and I don't know the entire rotation that people normally do. So it may be better, it may be worse, I don't really know for sure. I would like to know from you guys if you have experience with that area. And with that I suppose I'm done, so thanks for watching the video and I'll see you guys next time.